Hey there, www.andrewmartinmusic.com. This one's a continuation of the one I did yesterday on the question whether consciousness is paradoxical. The only thing I'd add to that today is if one is, a modern scientific materialist, likely an atheist, then yes to that question. But I think I unpacked why some of those foundational suppositions could be incorrect. But today I wanted to carry on and talk about free will, which seems rather obvious that we have, and commonsensical that we have free will. But, this is a demiurgic construct and things aren't always what they seem. So let's unpack that. And from my Christian Gnostic perspective, I don't think we have free will, and that's because fate is controlled by the planetary Archons and karma. It's as simple as that. The only caveat I would put in there is that if your karma allows you to seek Purusha, or the Pleroma, and spark of the divine, and you can access it, then you can override the demiurgic Archon structure and become free. Now there's things to unpack there. I'm not going to do that in this video, but generally speaking, that is the case. Now, from a Samkhya point of view, the mind, which is not consciousness, the mind, the Bidhi, the intellect, and the Ahamkara, I think I'm saying that right, are aspects of Prakriti. They're aspects of the brain. So dual aspect monism, so that renders them epiphenomenon, which means we do not have free will in Samkhya. So whether I assess this from my own personal Christian gnosis or from my affinity for Samkhya, I come to the conclusion that we do not have free will in the common sense of how most people talk about free will. And so I sort of say it's inconsequential. Yes, you can choose between cereal and bacon for breakfast. I call that inconsequential free will. Everything is still determined. When you really think about what kind of will you have, the span of it doesn't span much. I mean, all your body functions are predetermined. Everything is functioning without your conscious will being involved in it, from your heartbeat to bowel movements, everything. It's all automatic. It's all your will is not controlling that. Now, there's another aspect of the will that Schopenhauer talked about, and I've argued that he made a category error depending on how we define terms. So if he was saying that the will that he was talking about is the object of Prakriti, so say a lion is hunting and it needs to feed, then Schopenhauer was right, that will instantiates Prakriti like that, and the lion, and so it has that will, and everything has that will. That's I have no argument if that's what he meant by the thing in itself, but that's not how I sort of go about defining it. I call the thing in itself Purusha, or God. I know that's a bit of a stretch for the Samkhyists out there, but for my purpose here, I'm going to say the thing in itself is a God, and if that's true, then Schopenhauer made a category error, and that Kant was right, that we don't have access to the noumenon to know what it is. We human beings could never know what Purush is, what the Pleroma is. We can only experience it. It's beyond all our faculties within Prakriti to know what it is. And even the earliest writings in the Veda say this. In the very first of the Rig Veda, the very first chapters say this. It says this clearly, that nobody knows what God is in that context. Now, a bit of a different issue is we can assert what we think God is. We can say God is love. That's fine. But from a sort of like a modern epistemological point of view, we could never know what it is. We don't have access to the thing in itself. So I've said that Kant was right. Schopenhauer was wrong, depending on how we're defining things. And so no free will as it's commonly understood. We have inconsequential free will, but for people who have the ability to access the Pleroma and the spark of the Pleroma and Purush and Satchitananda, that can elevate you above the condition of Prakriti and free you. So that's kind of my thoughts on someone just blew off a bear banger, so the bears are back. Those hungry bears. I saw one last fall. I was about 20 feet away from it. But okay, so Andrew Mark music on free will. And then the last part, I guess, of this series is whether I think the material universe itself is real. And I'll get to that in the next video. All right. Bye for now.